No doubt, Sharjah is a model for any country that seeks to develop its citizens through reading. That's for Sharjah. Back home in Nigeria, the Lagos Books and Art Festival is ongoing. We have packaged this report for you.
Growing up, we had this wonderful instructive.
The hall plays host to several people with wealth of knowledge in literary works.
And there was this new excitement on the continent, and that
It's the 21st Lagos Book Art Festival, holding at its official home, Freedom Park in Lagos Island, and other venues around the city. This edition is dedicated to the memory of the master artist, Dr. David Herbert Bowles, who passed in 2019.
Emerge is a product of, some of the last themes that we've had. In the last 5 years, as you've noticed, the world has been, trending in a very, has had a very interesting set of characters. People like Trump, people like the character who is a Boko Haram guy, people who want to divide the country, characters like Boris Johnson in the UK. You've been having those kind of dark, alleyways in the world. So the idea is, can we emerge out of this dark alley? Can we call attention to the possibility that the world can go back to a more prosperous, more enabling, more interesting place that, maybe we used to be there. Maybe, but the divisiveness of the Trumps, of the Johnsons of this world, the carnage, the carnage created by the Boko Haram massacres, the challenges about, the polity, whether the quality of the presidency is awesome, whether we have elected a proper leader, all of those things are dark. So we want to emerge out of that darkness. And so we choose books that would help us to, those kind of books that, by their titles and their content, discuss themes of optimism, themes of becoming, themes of, some kind of utopian, leading to utopia kind of thing. Those are the kind of books that we've chosen for the festival. So for once, let's run away from all these characters and get into a dreamlike state and hope that by the end of this festival, the world has become a better place.
With the theme, Emerge, Breaking into the New, a panel of discussants talk on issues bordering on social, political, economic and cultural factors standing in the way of individual and national progress.
Is it the people or the stories that they tell? Because there's the conversation around what language that we think in originally. People, some say we think in the English language, and some will tell you they think in their mothers, in their native languages. So what comes to your mind when we talk about indigenous people in the context of literature?
I doubt there is any particular synergy about the way we could calculate maybe the thought process of people, because to think has its own language. Now, to begin with, it has to do with stream of consciousness and how things are being processed mentally. Now, it's different. So I don't actually believe people think in particular languages. If there is a language people think in, it's not a language that we have direct access to. Now, it is the translation. It is the translation of that thought process that has bettered what we now have as the human language and how we communicate amongst ourselves as human beings. At least that's what I believe. That's what I believe. So, and for me, everything is translation. Everything is translation. When you think, you have to speak. And then when you speak, then you have to write. Now, some of these translations are far removed from the others. Like, take for example, when you use Google Translate, for example, you write a phrase in or a sentence in English. Now, you translate that sentence. Use Google Translate and type a sentence in English. Now, translate that language, translate that sentence into, say, Japanese, and then translate that into Mandarin, translate that into Spanish, translate into French, translate into Italian, and then now translate back to English. You would not get the same thing you had initially typed. So it's the whole process of language is it's complex.
Jalada Africa is a Pan-African writers collective based in Nairobi, which we founded after a workshop which Ella Alfrey had facilitated. So amongst our most important projects has been the translations project. When you talk of the gods of African literature, Ngugi wa Thiong'o is one of those ones, and he really cares about indigenous languages. So he stopped writing in English. So what he did for us was to write a short story, an original short story in Kikuyu, his own language. So he wrote it in Kikuyu, then he translated his Kikuyu text into an English text, which he then gave us. Now, in the translation project, what we did was to come up with a Pan-African team of volunteers. So if there's a language, if you feel that you would like to translate it into Ibibio, for example, you indicate, I would like to translate this into Ibibio. So perhaps you want to translate it in Ibibio. Someone does the translation, someone does a cross-check of the translation to balance it out. And this is how we entirely used volunteers. And right now, that short story has been translated into 78 languages and counting. And the predominant number of these languages have been African languages.
Emphasis are placed on indigenous works and the level of acceptance.
The English language is a tool of colonization. It was used to colonize most African countries in West Africa. And you know what I was trying to actually say was we have to reclaim the language. It's like what my fellow panelist said at the end of the panel, when he said that it's necessary for us to reclaim the language, just like what Chino Achebe said, that yeah, we write in the English language, we speak the English language, but we are going to do unheard of things with that language, you know. So that's what I mean when I say it's a language of it's a violent language. It's a language that was weaponized, that was used against us, that was used by our colonizers to put us down. So many, there are so many things that there are so many narratives that have been erased just because of the English language. So it's necessary for us to actually reclaim the language. I am not going to go as far as saying that we should not speak the English language at all. No, I'm not going to say that. But then I'm going to say that there are things we ought to do to reclaim that language.
I think it's important for us to increase our use of indigenous languages, because whether we like it or not, a lot of young people, they do not speak English. Half of our population is not urban. So it's important for us to be able to expose this part of our population to the best ideas. And these ideas are not necessarily communicated in English. Therefore, it's important for us to reach out through language platforms that are not English, in order to reach out to this part of our population.
Pick up a book today, flip through the pages and read something, because reading is essential for those who seek to rise above the ordinary, says American entrepreneur Jim Rohn. Thank you for joining us on the program. Join us again next week. I am Hajara Aliyu.